One of the best shows I've ever seen that covers friendship is Family Guy, specifically long-term friendship. And for the sake of this video, I really want to study the evolution of Peter and Joe. We can sit here and talk about how they were in earlier seasons, then mid-seasons, then the recent seasons, but I thought I'd rather just talk about what you can learn from these friendships, or this particular friendship. I'd rather just talk about what I am picking up from this friendship that seems to be evolving in such a nice manner. I'm finding it such a refreshing take for Family Guy. And job well done to the writers for that, because there are some risks that they've taken where they've taken like Stewie and Brian was a dynamic and they introduced Chris into that dynamic, making some really funny moments. And I think this is another one where it's always been Peter and Quagmire or Peter and Brian, and now they're really evolving it that, oh, Peter and Joe have storylines that can work really well also. Joe used to be the butt of every joke.
Hang on a sec. Thank you.
But now you can see that there is some genuine appreciation between the two. Peter has actually grown from constantly ripping on this guy to really appreciating what he says.
2/3 of the planet is water.
Yeah. 2/3 of the planet is water. This guy's okay. And you know, Joe, I was thinking maybe one night we get dinner, just the two of us.
I would like that.
Joe is being given the opportunity. He used to get mugged off all the time, but now he actually gets center stage to say a few things.
Gotta take you in. Where's the peanut butter? I just called you. Where did you go? Where did you run to, Cutaway Joe? Hilarious, right?
Joe, we're stuck in cutaway land. How do we get out?
And also Peter has this new appreciation for Joe, and we see these moments of like candidness between them where he says, you know, I sometimes think about what you say and it makes me laugh, and it's really, you know, I think we should go for dinner together. I think I really do appreciate our friendship. Some people look at cartoons and think they're just cartoons. It doesn't matter. You can't learn anything. It's just meant to be funny. It's meant to be put it on and shut your brain off. I'm not one of those people, if that wasn't obvious. Maybe it's a little too obvious. I can't shut my brain off for this stuff. But I think that's why those candid moments make me really happy. And I think that's why those candid moments work. Because those are the moments of, yeah, it's a funny episode. Anything could be happening. It could be out there completely. But it's showing you how you should talk to your friends sometimes. It shows you how to make a, like, in the middle of anything. There was an example of, like, Joe and Peter, they were on a plane, the plane is getting hijacked, it's high stakes, and that's the moment, I'm not saying you should do it during that time, but that's the moment where he turned to him and said like, oh, you know, you're seriously funny. Sometimes I think about what you say and it's really funny. And Joe's like, you know, thank you so much.
I've lost a ton in Vegas, but I never thought I'd lose my life there.
Did you just think of that?
Yeah, just now.
You know, you are seriously funny, man. I know I crap on you a lot, but sometimes when I'm driving, I think about stuff you say and I laugh.
Thank you, Peter.
No, thank you.
And I think even another high-stakes situation, if I remember correctly, is when Meg had a boyfriend who was a convict, and then he was escaping. And he escaped down Meg's window. Peter calls up Joe and says there's a convict that's escaping. You know, he's coming down the street, go get him. But before he says that, he actually says to him, oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, when I was in your house the other day, I love what you're doing with the interior designing.
No, it's Peter. Two things. First of all, when I was over at your house the other day, I forgot to tell you how much I liked the rearrangement you and Barney did with your living room furniture. Second of all, come outside, there's an escaped convict running across the street!
And I think, like, that's, like, sort of, maybe the writer's not to the level of chaos and reality in their friendship, or just a nod to of, like, yeah, squeeze it in whenever you can, but, you know, make sure you appreciate your friends. So one of the big takeaways is the evolution of friendship. To make a long-term friendship work, make sure you're constantly appreciating your friends. Make sure you're appreciating the people around you, especially if they're funny and they have good interior designing skills, because that's hard to come by. Or maybe it's not, I don't know. Do we all have Pinterest? Peter is also very invested in Joe's life. Joe is also invested in Peter's life. There's a lot of instances where Joe will mimic what Peter does and see it as, I mean, sometimes when he's by himself, he pretends, like he tells his friends at the station that he's the leader of the group and he's describing what Peter does. So, you know, there is a sort of, okay, maybe I'm going down the rabbit hole of if someone's copying you, then what's that phrase? Imitation is the sincerest? That doesn't sound sincere. Is it a good form of flattery? I don't know. Forget this. Point is that Joe sometimes would pretend that all of the things Peter did, he actually did. And like he's like the cool one and whatnot. And because he's not out there openly copying Peter, doing whatever, I think he just wants to embody some things about Peter. That's how he appreciates it. He sees Peter as someone who he can learn from and become like. And I think that's why he does make a lot of effort to make sure Peter laughs, which is fun. But side note, Peter doesn't always make Joe laugh.
God, he's literally never given me one! Joe doesn't think I'm funny?
And that got to him so much. It shows how much he actually cares about Joe and Joe's opinion. I think that's like how it evolved from, oh, it's not that this guy is like the butt of the joke of everything. He is in my friendship group. He's one of my best friends. It matters. Why the hell is he not laughing at my jokes? In the end, Peter went to these extreme lengths and he made Joe laugh, so it all worked out. It was very, very fun, very good for them. But back to, Peter gets very, very involved in Joe's life as well. I think there are a lot of plot points with this. There was when Joe wrote the kids' book about being, the happy squirrel. There was the one where Joe's dad was coming to town, actually, his dad didn't come to town. It was supposed to be Father's Day or something was meant to happen, and then Peter found out that he's actually estranged from his father, so then he makes the effort and calls Joe's dad to come down. And then when Joe actually admits that the reason he doesn't engage with his father is because his father makes fun of handicapped people and his father doesn't know that he's handicapped, Peter actually helps him hide his secret. And then obviously, there's a whole storyline and plot point, and he helps him in the end come together with his father.
And I suppose deep down, I was afraid. Then I guess I've got some learning to do. I love you, son.
I love you too, Dad.
So, Peter really is there making like monumental moments for Joe happen. You want to see how long a long-term friendship goes? There might even be some chemistry there, because they do have one more secret.
Only right response is for the husbands to give the wives a taste of their own medicine.
Well, now we have a problem and a secret.
If you ever see a reference in one of the episodes later down the line, and they say like, oh, it's just like, not even a cutaway gag, just like a line that says, just like when me and Joe were in that motel or something like that. I think that'll be like a very fun nod to that one moment. And I like it when the writers prefer to do it that way than a cutaway gag that can be anything. Like that's like something that's very real and between them and now in their lore. Speaking of lore, let's speak about betrayal. Because there was an instance of betrayal in their friendship. There may be more, but one that really stands out is there was an episode where Joe happened to see Lois naked by accident, but it kind of went a bit too far, where Joe kept staring at her across the street, and she also indulged him, where she was I think she was enjoying the attention, well, she said she was enjoying the attention from it, but it kind of went a bit too far, and it was, another good friend where Quagmire had to step in and tell Peter that this is what's happening,
I'll teach Joe to ogle my wife.
Oh, hey, Peter. What are you clenching in that fist there?
But Peter went and he settled it immediately. He literally went and he just punched him in the face. And to be fair, Joe took it. Joe took it like a man. He said, yeah, I probably was doing the wrong thing. So when Lois came around to his house later, Joe was very adamant with her that no, my friendship with Peter is more important. And, this was just, not even that it was just a mistake, it was just something that happened, there's a fondness between the two of you, and then it was briefly channeled towards him, and essentially whatever it was, it needed to stop, and he really put his foot down.
I think it's better if you stop. Peter's a good friend, and perhaps the affection you two share was briefly channeled towards me as a reminder and renewal of the importance of maintaining a deep sense of wonder and curiosity about life.
I think there's something about their friendship where there is still that Peter is not going to hold grudges against them. Peter doesn't hold a grudge against anyone, and Joe at the same time will also forgive Peter for a lot of his shortcomings, and that's sort of how the friendship can still work, and how at least for them that dynamic works. I think there was this unspoken thing of, you know what, yeah, even if you've wronged me, let's do whatever we have to do to fix this wrong, to go back to being friends. And then eventually more than friends, because they slept with each other after this. Are my top tips for a long-term friendship: laugh at their jokes, compliment them frequently, don't stare at their partner, sleep with your best friends, whatever. Clearly, I'm someone with a lot of big ideas. It's so stupid. Their friendship works not because it's perfect. It works because it's sincere. It works because they survive it together. And maybe that's the takeaway. That you should just survive your friendships. Oh, God. Whether you annoy your friends, whether you love your friends, whether your friends are funny, whether they're not, doesn't matter. Long-term friendship is special. Side tangent before I forget. I've been doing this for 4 months now, and just hit 100 subscribers. We did this together. And now we're in a long-term friendship. Yeah. All 103 of you. Not going anywhere. It's just us now. We are the Peter and Joe of YouTube. And I'm just gonna end on that.
Enough of that. Go away, damn you! Oh, you're going to get it now!